Hi, good evening, viewers. I'm Dr. DEB Pothe. Welcome to you, the DEB Show, Development of Education and Business. I hope you are all enjoying the summer evening or summer afternoon. So today we will talk about especially the topics and focus on environmental, social, and governance. Short term is ESG. Impact on education and business. So these topics is really interesting, and I hope that a lot of business people and community leaders should know, and government should apply in the real world. So in that reason, today I have two distinguished guests that I want to introduce you now. My right hand side I have Barrister Salman Hassan Rafi, who is actually came from Bangladesh, but he's well educated from UK, become a barrister. So Barrister Rafi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I want to actually see that if you can introduce yourself to the audience here.
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum everyone, and greetings to everyone. And I first, before introducing myself, I would like to thank Dr. DEB Pothe to invite me in the DEB Show. And today we are going to talk on ESG, environmental, social governance, on education and business. And now I would like to introduce myself. My name is Barrister Salman Hassan Rafi. I have done my BPTC, Bar Professional Training course from City University of London, and then I have called to the bar from Lincoln's Inn, and I have done my Masters in Criminal Justice from London South Bank University, and also I have done my LLB from University of London, and also I am doing PhD. Right now I'm a candidate of PhD in law from Garnier American University. So those were my qualification. And if I talk about my designation, currently I'm serving as the Managing Director of Marvelous Ventures Limited. Actually, I'm the founder of Marvelous Ventures Limited and Managing Director. We have two sister concerns under that, that is Marvelous Academy and Marvelous Overseas, and also I'm the Director of IDMNC International Campus, Bangladesh. And also I have served as the Chairman of high school in Bangladesh that is called Abdul Ghani Doriadulat High School. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Barrister Rafi, and we'll come back in a minute. And my left hand side viewers have a Miss Hana Musabi, who is obviously activist, obviously owner of the Flamagant House, which she will introduce herself, and also lecturer. So please, Hannah, welcome to the show, and if you can introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So my name is Hannah Musavi. I'm the founder of Pomegranate House. It's a global governance consultancy that focuses on gender, culture, economy with a decolonial feminist lens. I do joint research pieces as well as program and project development, looking at how we can help the reality and the people on the ground and different indigenous communities and the local communities, and how that interacts with the global structures. So I'm also an exec. I'm on the exec for UK Civil Society Women's Alliance. So we are responsible for working directly with the UK government and the UN on the Commission on the Status of Women conference at the UN to make sure that our voices in civil society are heard when agreeing to certain terms and conditions on newer gender agreements that the UN passes every single year. I'm also a member of NAWO, National Alliance of Women's Organisations, as well as a part of National Council of Women, and I have many hats on many different areas, so I'm a part of many different organisations. All of them focus on how to help and better women and all communities and gender and the reality of society. I'm also a visiting lecturer for 4 different universities within the UK, some internationally. So I provide insight from the reality of industry and relate that into education. So I provide 2 different arms. I've had a whole career working in many different industries in the charity sector, as a trustee, on boards. So I think I'm pretty well rounded. My specialism was in psychology and conformity and tradition. And then my master's was in global governance and looking at the Preventing Sexual Violence and Conflict Initiative and looking at restructuring models of global governance. So with ESG, I've been able to create a more rounded approach of understanding every single angle.
Thank you, Hannah. Viewers, you can see that both the guest has really an unbelievable knowledge and skill about the ESG. And I just want to give you a little synopsis about why ESG becoming important. Think about last 10-15 years, we are all aware of AI, artificial intelligence. We are thinking about the technology intervention. So if anybody doing little bit wrong in not only the business side or education and anywhere, and it come to the publicly very quickly or very short period of time. So you have to be very careful about why ESG is becoming important in the real world. And today we'll focus on especially its impact in the society, in the communities, in the education, in the business, and how we can protect, how we can see the challenges and opportunity to create it throughout this ESG. So I hope that you will be enjoying next 45 minutes. So now my first question, I'm going back to my first guest, Barrister Rafi. Rafi, if I know you are actually the barrister and the policy maker, and you working last 10 years about the policy and procedure, especially the education. Could you give us like a little bit why ESG is actually important and why public should know about it?
Yeah, first of all, if we have to understand about ESG, then we have to go about its full form. So ESG stands, or it consists of three main pillars. E stands for environment, and S stands for social, and G stands for governance. So it's together environment, social governance. So actually, it means how an organization is working positively for the society, how it's making a good impact to the society, and are they working ethically with responsibility, are they working with sustainability or not. So yeah, for nowadays it is very important. ESG or environmental ESG is very important because it can create trust between the people, between the customer, between the stakeholder, between the new investors. So we can take example as Tesla. We can take example for Unilever. They have worked with ESG and they have gained the advantage. Now we can see, if we take the example of Tesla, they are creating electric cars that do support the climate objective as well. And we can see how they have developed nowadays with profit, and also they have also merged with ESG. It's been environmental social governance.
Thank you.
So nowadays it's very important, and it's about education as well. I would say it's very important because when we are educator, as an educator, we are training the future leaders. We are educating the next generation. They should know about this, and if we educator do teach them about this, they can become a global respectful citizens.
Excellent. So yes, viewer, you can see like why it is important, and I'm coming to my second guest who is actually a specialist from the ESG. Hannah, obviously you saw or you can actually a little bit explore the societies and the viewers. As Barrister Rafi said, like in ESG is important and how the ESG is actually working. Your organization is purely working for ESG, and how can you explain to us why it is important and how you actually measuring this ESG performance? Yes.
So ESG is really important because it allows you to be able to measure the impact that your community or your organization has on the community and vice versa. So a lot of the angles that we really look at are perhaps some of the hidden impacts that we can't really see at first. So it could be that an organization has a great ESG policy, but their supply chains are in the global south, and a lot of different communities there are not actually impacted positively from just ESG policies and structures that are in place if the company's in the global north. Like the company Patagonia, they are one of the strongest companies to try to make ESG applicable throughout the whole of their supply chain. So they've been able to do it for 90% of their supply chain, yet they still have been pretty open and honest with their own governance structures and been able to say that still within their structures they haven't been able to create a strong living pay scale for everyone in every element of their supply chain. So my company, the work that I actually focus on is looking at the reality and the need. So I have a project that I've launched last month called 80 by 80. So we're looking at 80 giant questions for every age group, hence 80. So it just had to rhyme in some way or another.
Very good, yeah.
But really we're looking at the reality and the need of society. So that also encompasses economic initiatives that might have been put into place that aren't represented in the reality of society. So that can be looking at every single community, every organization, every local facility, and it shifts and it changes. But a lot of ESG policies, a lot of structures that are in place don't look at the reality of settings by nuanced research. They look at it as a collective. So there is no disaggregated data that's normally collected. It's normally aggregated, so it provides insight for the collective. If you disaggregate it, if you find out the nuances of every single part, you can actually see where the problems lie. So ESG is amazing, but only if it's used effectively and efficiently.
Thank you. Now, based on this, we have these three pillars, obviously environmental, social, and governance. Which one is more important? Do you think these are all three have equally important, or you can see one is 30%, one is 40%? How are you measuring these things? Or do you think all companies using these three equally?
I don't think they're all using them equally. I think sometimes certain companies prioritize one, whether they can highlight it more than the others, so they emphasize that need. But I would say at different points of my life and different points of career, I would have definitely said perhaps one was more important than the other. You know, one of my roles before, I was a trustee of a homeless charity where we use surplus foods to feed vulnerable communities. So those surplus foods would help sustain sustainable communities and look at climate change. So in that moment, I really would focus on that. But in all honesty,
all three are
yeah,
equally.
they all are important in their own ways.
Thank you very much. Barrister Rafi, obviously, if you think about the, as you said, three pillars, and do you think like if you compare the big organization and a small organization, how you differentiate? And you know, the big organization, they always have a lot of things and they can do
many
but
resources. Yeah.
What is the, quickly can you tell, because we are going to break in a short period of time. So do you think the all big companies should use it or they can avoid?
No, I think all big companies, it should be encourage them for ESG, you know, accountability. They should give a transparent report of ESG, and that can, you know, increase the transparency among the people, and the people will also understand the organization or the company's, you know, activities very well. And also in that way they can create more business. That is also helpful for them as well. That can create more awareness as well.
Excellent. So there's a small business also say equally do these things?
For
or
small business,
how you see the
I'm
difference?
afraid I do think that because they have limited resources, and it's not always helpful for them to, you know, encourage for ESG, because you can understand that sometimes if we are thinking about, it's a small company and they are a manufacturing company, so if they have to reduce carbon emission, it can take a lot of cost. So actually they cannot afford it. Practically, if we think about that, the small company actually they cannot afford it. Yeah.
Thank you. That's viewer. You can see that's actually we are talking ESG for the impact in the society and education and the business. So we need a small break, and please stay with us. We will be come back in very shortly. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Hi viewers, again welcome to you all into the DEB Show. Development of Education and Business. I'm Dr. DEB Show. Just to introduce again that if you are just joined to the program, my right hand side I have a guest, Barrister Salman Rafi, who is actually came from Bangladesh, and he's well educated from UK and Bangladesh. And my left hand side I have a guest based on UK, Miss Hana Musabi, who is actually ESG specialist. So viewer, you can see that two guests are already started talking, and we are trying to understand that what is the challenges and opportunity creating by ESG for business and education. And both of my guests are actually as a business owner as well as a lecturer in the universities, so they knows actually how they can promote this ESG. So we want to see that how much you know as a viewer, as a public, what is the consequences if you don't use it, or if you are not understand this topic, what could be happen in the future. So that's all we want to discuss. So let's Rafi, I want to ask you, obviously you are from Bangladesh, and obviously you educated from UK, and you're working as a barrister, obviously, so you have so many hats, and I know we will come back in another way that you are also TV actor. We'll come back in minute in this thing to the viewers. Many people may know you. I want to know that if you compare with the UK or in the Western world with Bangladesh, does the ESG actually exist? Or obviously if they exist, and can you give us a little example, or how does it work? Yeah.
If we see the first world countries like UK, of course, we do see that ESG do exist. So some of the companies may have avoided, but in Bangladesh, if we're talking about Bangladesh, then yeah, we can see a lot of tragedies. Like if we take, for example, Rana Plaza tragedy, you can see that because lack of ESG promotion or lack of the understanding of ESG, this kind of tragedy is happening again and again in Bangladesh. So yeah, the business people or the leader in Bangladesh, or also the government, they should know about the ESG. They should create awareness about ESG. And in our country, we can see a lot of company, they are not actually following this ESG, and we can see that there are a lot of noise, environment pollution, and also they are throwing the dust and everything in the river. They are polluting the rivers of our country.
So environmentally they are not aware at all?
No, not at all.
Or they don't care?
Yeah, if we are number one at garments, that's all, everyone knows about Bangladesh. But if we think about those garments factories, they have to reduce the carbon emission, and also they have to throw the dust. So they are using the river mostly, and our rivers of the Dhaka city and of our Bangladesh, these are getting polluted, and day by day the climate and the environment is changing, and it getting deteriorated in Bangladesh. Yeah.
Okay, so that means you are saying people maybe companies may know about it, but they are not using it, and a public also not caring. That is the reason, like an environmental pollution and all sort of things. Actually,
it's happening in Bangladesh.
Again and worst and worst and one. Miss Hana, this actually, Rafi said, obviously Bangladesh content. I know you are working with ESG in very in depth with the organization, your own organization, and working with a lot of policy maker. And I have two small questions. One is, do you think that it is an investment for the company, or is just wasting if they follow up this thing?
It's definitely an investment, but again, like I mentioned earlier, it's only an investment if they do it properly. A lot of the time when they use ESG, it could be just to tick a box, and so you need to be able to have the good parameters in place. The interesting part with ESG is actually it was put into a structure from before, and now we've had a lot more time to be able to understand things that have changed. So maybe perhaps this is the moment where we can kind of reform it, see areas where we might need to change it. But the structures that were in place beforehand were new. We didn't know what was wrong with it, what areas we needed to change. So I think there are areas of change that are needed. It's just
it need to be developed here. So that means actually investment. So that means now my question is actually the reason I'm saying, so sometimes people may think, okay, why should I care environment? Why should I care social impact? Why should I need to be governance? So in the company is actually looking for profit. So in terms of ESG, if they using or if they properly measuring this ESG, do you think they where they actually getting profit, or where they get actually get the benefit of using this? That is the question.
So ESG is really kind of looked at as a certificate to show that you are caring and you've provided some sort of impact into the society. Unfortunately, it has to go back into some of the philosophies of the world and the structure that we're in. We are in a very capitalist society. We are looking at a way for profit all the time. If we find a way, and we can always find profit in anything. So it's, you know, I always advocate to try to do something that you're passionate about, and you will find a way to do it. It might take a lot longer, but it'll happen. So with ESG, if you were to do it properly, you still could find a way to profit. It's just finding the right tactic in which you can use the capitalist structure to the advantage. So it's really looking at whether you can find that, or you then succumb to the need. And again, it relates to, you know, standard of living, loads of different structures that are really in place.
Excellent. So if you can look at, obviously, the society at the moment is actually a very different society we are living at the moment because of the technology, because of change of the globalization. We are talking of the sustainability and this thing. My question is, why you actually intervene, or why you actually look at these things from your childhood? I know, like, can you explain to us, like, and why is actually came to you, like, and why you think it need to be think about? Yeah.
Well, in all honesty, I became frustrated with structures, and I became frustrated with the inefficiency of the world. But really, it kind of goes back to when I was at university. I thought I was going to be a therapist. I started to work in a charity. I became a counsellor for people that are abused in childhood. And after a while, I realised as much as I could help people, there was more that needed to be done. So I ended up going into research. I ended up going into policy. I went into fundraising. I went into all different areas that I thought I could make a difference, make a change, but it still felt that there was a lacking in place. And so I worked in so many different angles and so many different areas, even within global diplomacy and different global diplomatic businesses, and there still lacked this kind of way in which the world could be helped or made better. So ultimately, I kind of looked at the structure in which the world is looking at, and that's why my focus is on decolonial feminism, because for me, it deep dives down into colonial legacy structures that are still embedded, that really only benefit certain people in the world, the 1%, the certain communities that always will have a capitalist gain, and so it doesn't look to help everyone. ESG tries to change that, and it can
if applied.
Yes, exactly, if applied properly. So this is where I come in, where I'm looking at how to apply it properly, how to actually look at what's problematic.
So your organization that you said, so you would deeply just look at the ESG application, like at the moment?
I look at every element. So I look at economic structures. I look at how economy could be properly embedded to benefit everyone. I look at the reality of initiatives that have been put into place that are not benefiting us properly in society. So there could be absolutely anything. I mean, when you're looking at structures like, let's say, maternity leave as a very basic understanding of it, a lot of people decide to not go back to work because it's not economically beneficial. So they're saying that they're choosing not to do it, when in reality the choice isn't theirs if the structure in place doesn't allow a better structure. You can see this from examples all across the world. So some places are much better, some people have a much better structure. So we're looking at structures that are embedded from legacy periods.
Thank you.
And that's my main angle.
Excellent. So yes, beware, you can see like how people actually frustrated, and where is this example is giving all those things. And I'll come back to actually few picture I saw in the screen, so I'll come back in a minute. Barrister Rafi, you mentioned actually the Rana Plaza, and I just wondering one thing. What lesson actually the public learn or the government learn, and do you have any kind of observation or any recommendation, like what lesson we learn from this Rana Plaza?
Yeah, actually, I think there should be an initiative. The government should take initiative to make awareness to the business people, to the normal people, to the employee, to the employers, that they should know about this ESG, what does it mean, and why we need to imply this, and for our benefits, for our own benefit, for our communities, for our social benefits. So and also as an educator, I do think also it's our responsibility in the school
so
section.
our individual responsibility.
Yeah, it's
as well.
our individual responsibility as well, that we can educate our students in the school, in the college, in the university about these things as well. As we know, ESG is a part of a business studies, but as a mandatory thing, we can also teach these things in a school curriculum or a college curriculum in our countries, and government should make more awareness videos, and they should run this into the TV program, national TV program, to the national also Facebook pages. Then I think it can work and people should know about it.
So in terms of Bangladesh contents, like does government apply any rule and regulation, or it still is not caring, or do you think, because I'm sure the government and local authorities should care it, or do you have any kind of procedure that should be followed up?
There is procedure, I would say. After Rana Plaza, actually government has taken some initiative, but greenwashing happens everywhere, and even in UK as well. When a company is claiming that okay, we are eco-friendly, we are following the ESG, actually inside they are not doing anything, they are making false claim. But what's the main thing is that okay, there is law, but it need to be implemented. There need to be transparency, there need to be accountability and monitoring procedure as well. If a company is making a claim that okay, we are eco-friendly or we are following the ESG, that there should be authority or people who can monitor those claims, and then they can verify those things. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll come back in a minute. Thank you very much. So, Ms. Hana, obviously, based on this conversation, we are talking like I saw you actually in the United Nations and some work. So, this sort of thing, could you give us what you did and how it actually motivated you?
I had always wanted to be a part of the UN. Still now, but but now I've got a different role that I actually feel like I have more freedom when working with them. So when I'm working at the UN, there's a lot of restrictions that a lot of people that work at the UN or member states have. As a member of civil society, I have the freedom to be able to actually advocate for the reality and the need of things that need to change. And so a lot of people that I've spoken to that are actually involved, they agree, but again, there's restrictions. There's restrictions on who funds what and how much freedom they truly have when they talk about different communities. So when I am at the United Nations, it does, it makes me feel alive, and also I'm around so many like-minded people that there is so many ideas that come from it. And I've met people from all across the world with passion that is really expressed from everything that they're doing to help. Truly, it's innovating, it's creative, and it's admirable to see so many people collectively wanting to help the world. So it's
Thank
lovely.
you. So that's absolutely. I know there's a lot of good people, and obviously there is a lot of people are trying to apply the things to be good for the society and a human being. Now we want to see and how much we can actually use it. Now one more question actually I want to impact of this your videos and all sort of thing. Now have you write any books or anything and did you putting any things at the moment?
So my PhD I had to stop after 3 years, and I'm currently in the process of converting it into a book which goes into the whole of this breakdown.
Excellent. So you will be writing something, because I know that you are expert of this ESG and I want to see how community can or next generation can get the benefit. Now if you think about a lot of society, especially I'm talking the UK content in the lot of small businesses, I asked the Barrister Rafi, do you think the small business can benefit it more than the big company if they use this ESG, or it is not useful for small companies? Because we want to see how SMEs and uses it.
I think it really does depend, and I think kind of going back to the previous question I was saying about some of the structures that are in place to be ethical, to use it in an ethical way. SMEs could use it, but again, at the moment, especially in the UK and the Western world, it's very, very hard with the standard of living and whatnot to survive. So I know a lot of SMEs have collapsed recently. So they're in a very precarious situation. But SMEs could definitely do it if their main focus is on ESG. But again, it depends. It depends on so many different things. They could use it effectively, but at the same time I think there is an opportunity where, you know, you could give them a little bit of kindness of development. So once it gets to a certain structure, then maybe the expectation should be that's when they give back into society. So it depends. It depends on so many things.
Thank you. Now, thank you so much, Barrister Rafi. So
Yes.
based on that, actually, obviously, I know you working as an educator. You have your own business. You also have a law hat. And we can see that actually you have a acting. So can you tell us that how you split your time and how are you managing those things? And if you using the ESG, I know you want to be more environmental friendly, social activist, and you want to be look at yourself. Can you tell us like how you managing all those things? Where this energy come from?
First of all, yeah, I do believe in myself that I can do this, and yeah. So that was my hobby since my childhood, that I want to become an actor, but also beside that education is very important. So my father wanted me to become a barrister and I did that, but also beside that I am also doing my hobby, you know, living my hobby as well. So whenever I like in a year I do 3 to 4 Bangla dramas, not more than that I can do because I don't have much time. So, and rest of the time I do my own, you know, things like business and educating things, as I am owner of Marvelous Academy and Marvelous Overseas. So Marvelous Academy, we do provide British education, UK qualification to Bangladeshi students, and also I can say that that is also a social responsibility, that I am a lucky person that I am working for education, with education to Bangladeshi students. I am bringing the opportunities, UK education to Bangladeshi students do, and yeah, I'm bridging the gap between the Bangladeshi students to UK qualification. Yeah.
So absolutely. So then, what we are actually trying to you know, understand here, like, you know, if you for organization, how does you using ESG, like, and that is my question actually, all those things, and do you use them? And how you get the benefit, so can audience can actually understand that what benefit you are receiving from using it.
So if I have to give like importance about among the 3 pillars, I will give social responsibility the most. And you know, education itself is a social responsibility. So I'm giving education to the students, and also when we're giving education through Marvelous Academy or through IDMNC, we do believe that we are you know, creating, or we are building the future nation, future, you know, leaders who can be you know, global respectful citizens. So if we do provide awareness, we do, if we can educate them about ESG, then also they can apply this into their fields when they will become, you know, some of them will become lawyer, barrister, policymaker, activist. So they can also then apply those ESG measures in their fields. So that's how I think we are also, you know, doing this ESG and or applying with the ESG, being an educator.
Excellent. So you are using in your organization, I know I visited your organization, and I know you are socially involved to supporting the, and you saw the lot of donation.
And I would like to add one thing, that is I have served as a chairman of ad hoc committee of a high school in Bangladesh, that is from my village, Brahmanbaria Bansarampur, and the school name is Abdul Ghani High School, Duriadolat Abdul Ghani High School. So while serving there, you know, my motive was only that to, you know, give something to the society, to give something to my village, that I can bring something. And when I served there, you know, I have seen that it's a good thing that the student numbers, the girls students number was, you know, more than the boys. That is a good thing I have observed, but also I have faced that why boys are not studying there, because most of the parents, they are sending their son in a very young age to abroad to work, and that's why they cannot, you know, continue their study. And I have tried to change that. I have went to home, door to door, to, you know, make understand the parents, please don't send your you know, a boy at such a young age to abroad to, you know, for work. They should study, they should complete their graduation, and then they can do whatever they want.
So they build the confidence and to understand that. Absolutely. I think that is the audience, it is a very good message that is not start young age, need to be make the confidence and start work. Thank you, Rafi. Hannah, I want to actually to see the something like if you think about like any company using this environmental, social and governance ethically, do you think the brand image actually immediately came to the market, or how they actually get the a kind of awareness, and who is actually need to start this awareness? I just want to be the public or the parents or the company. Who is the responsible for it?
Well, I think there's an element of both. The organization definitely has responsibility, especially, well, I mean, the whole point of ESG is that you're analyzing and researching the impact that you have as a company has on society. Equally, you're looking at the negative attributes that you have on society and try to balance that. So there is a point of what you give into the world, you should be able to be accountable for whatever you do, and therefore try to balance it. And I think that just goes for everyone, really. So any company that, you know, might create far harsher environments because of the impact that they have on climate change or societies around them, they should then have either programs that focus on those areas or find a way to then stop it, because, you know, it's not fair. But equally, if people aren't then aware or they're not saying how that's impacting them, then they're also responsible for it too. So there is a point of empowerment that we all need to be able to have a voice to say it. But equally, that goes into so many different communities where maybe the power isn't there for people to be able to speak. And again, like mentioned before, there is a point of disaggregated data that's so essential. So let's say in certain communities where we don't know the problems that are going on, is because maybe there haven't been parameters to be able to gather the data for those things to be able to highlight that. So if we don't know, how can we change it? So
Excellent.
we need to have voices that can change it, and maybe the power to do that.
Excellent. So that means actually every individual is actually responsible.
Yeah.
Because if we not raise the voice, environmental, as Barrister Rafi said, like in different country, people don't care about the environment at all.
It's true, but also, sorry.
Yeah, please carry on.
Also, there are some companies that may impact the world that local communities may not know.
Yeah.
So there gets to a point where we're putting all responsibility on civil society when they're not necessarily the expert of these things. So how should they be responsible for things that impact them that they may not realize now, but it might happen in 20 years' time? So that it does get to a point where, if, for instance, they have impacted society in some way, whether it's the environment, whether that is in any form of social dynamics, or governance structures that are then embedded in a very toxic way that, again, they don't realize, we're allowed to be able to be accountable and say, oh, I didn't know, and this is how I'm correcting it. But I think there is a big structure in society where we're scared to actually say, oh, I've done something wrong, or like, I need to change this, because it might seem that you're incompetent. But surely, by not acknowledging fault, you're more incompetent because you're not acknowledging it. So we all should be able to continually change and adapt, and companies that have negatively impacted the world should be able to then alter it and change it later on. But it again depends on everything.
Thank you very much. Barrister Rafi, I have just one more question, because we'll go to one more break. So if you think about obviously in Bangladesh, I'm talking about Bangladesh, and you are traveling frequently in Bangladesh and UK.
Yes.
Environmentally, what are you thinking? What are you thinking that will be most important? You have a 20-second quickly. What is the most important thing that you want to see?
You know, it's our responsibility to save our planet. So environmental, you know, responsibility is on our shoulder. Each individual. It's because of, you know, our child or the next generation. They'll be living in this, it's in this world. So yeah, it's
thank you. So it's responsible for all of us.
Yeah.
Viewers, we need a small break, and we'll be come back again. Thank you very much. Dear viewer, welcome to our last segment, to DEB Show, Development, Education and Business, and we have two guests, and we are very final segment, or very short segment. So I want to ask few questions to my both guests without any delay. So Barrister Rafi, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, like, and we are talking about the different sort of policy procedure in the level of the societies. I'm sure nowadays actually it is very interesting that Gen Z is becoming more difference than ever. Obviously,
Yes.
our young life, we have a different thing. We listen to elder people, teachers, and all sorts. So we saw many different things. How it is actually affecting society? Can you just explain to us,
Yeah,
please?
I would love to, because I'm working with young people. All of my students, they are college students, they are university students, and so I've seen a good thing that most of the students, besides study, they want to become a content creator. They want to create content for the social media, but the problem is that then they don't know which are good content and which are bad content.
True,
Which content can make a very bad impact on the society. So that is the problem, and I think that is also a social responsibility to the young people and to us as well, to educate them, to make awareness that what are the good contents and what are the bad contents. So what happening when a very good influencer making a cheap content, most of the people, most of the young generation, they are following that, and that is happening in our country.
So it is actually dangerous. It is actually dangerous.
Very dangerous, and it's hampering the young generation. Yeah.
So yes, absolutely. Yes, I will come back in a minute. Hannah, obviously, you can see the in the various level of the society. You're traveling many countries. So African, Middle East, and you are in obviously born or not born. You have a very good communication with the Iran and all sort of thing. Now, in terms of in the globalization, like how much ERG is actually affecting? Does it actually bothering us, or do you think the people actually seeing it in the first place, or people don't have it?
I do think it is impacting a lot of different people. I think it's, as we can see, again, it goes into economy, and the more economy is in a bad place in the world, it negatively impacts a lot of global south, any community in the world. I was in Latin America quite a lot in the last 18 months. So I traveled around all of Central America and a lot of South America, and it was quite interesting to see a lot of different natural resources that they would use for native ritual religious practices are then consumerized and given to the global south and global north, and so it kind of it insults a lot of different communities. The reasons why these different products that are around have then been used in a different way completely, and the practices in which they've been placed in other places, how you use it, have then been used in another way. So it is really detrimental. It's the ethics and the need for society to change does rely on people.
Yes.
We are the ones that buy things. We are the consumers. We are, we've seen.
We are a producer. Yes.
Yeah, and we can see the impact this has on when we do boycott different things. And I'm not saying we have to boycott anything, but we can see the impact humans have.
Absolutely.
I remember when I was younger, and when I would say different things in school, like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, oh, you can't do anything. You're just one person. But I've done so much already, and I've worked with so many different people. One person, yeah, you may not, but you are that one person that has this unique idea, unique understanding of the world, that when you go in, you are then creating a community that also have this this idea.
Thank you.
So it works together.
Quickly, can you say what is your future plan? Quickly, because we are very ending.
Sorry.
Quickly.
My future plan is to build Pomegranate House even more so. Please fill out 80 by 80. It's a great understanding of what you need and how this works in society. My future plan is to publish more, to integrate more in different societies, and build more programs for indigenous communities and the grassroots, and how that relates to the global.
Thank you. Thank you. Barrister Rafi, obviously we are very last minute. If you can tell us what is your future plan, and I know you working hard, and thanks for coming to the show, but tell the audience what your main recommendation as a ESG specialist.
Okay, yeah. So through for ESG, I can make more awareness, and I can educate my students about that, and I would love to make more successful my Marvelous Academy, and bringing more British qualification educations to Bangladesh through Marvelous Academy and through IDMNC. Yeah.
Thank you, viewers. You can see that today you learn a lot of things about the ESG, and especially we try to understand that what is the opportunity, what is we can make the changes of the world. Obviously, it is responsible for everybody. We believe that you learn something that we want to discuss. We want to see the future, and I want to give big thanks to NTV to give this platform to us, and have a good evening. And